TV live, as the bumper so indicates that is running. And we are recording. We are broadcasting, streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And we have JD standing by, and we have a chat room eager to hear from him. So let's do a countdown to Studio 20. Well, folks, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv. You are about to take a trip around the Cross W Ranch. We do this every Thursday night at about 9:30 Eastern, if that's what time it is where you are watching this, whether it be on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. You're watching it live, and we appreciate you joining us. We also invite you to join us in the pjnet.tv chat room. You can watch it there live. It's at pjnet.tv. Just take your breath. If you're using a desktop or a laptop or a good tablet, that'd be good. If you're using your phone, just stay where you're at. You're doing fine. Okay. I always look forward to JD. Behind me, you see the picture. He always has a picture with his blog, because that's the way you do it. And JD joins us. He has written about Maverick the Bull. And first, JD, got your wife home now, and you got some of your grass cut.
Yes, sir. I was about 5 minutes late to Miss Catherine's program. Sorry about that, Miss Catherine. Love your wheelbarrow, by the way, ma'am.
Yeah, don't you wish you had one sporty like that? Thing's got billet aluminum wheels, JD.
I saw that. I'm going, geez, I wonder if that thing come with cruise control or not, Coach. That's all right. Mr. Steve suggested a self-propelled model. Now you're talking, see?
Right, sort of like a Segway,
That's right. That'll work, won't it, Miss Catherine?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yes, this week I introduced folks to my buddy there behind you, Maverick the Bull. Maverick is a registered Red Angus. He's now 5 years old, and I'm on the third set of sires from him. So this is his third breeding season. And this year, bless his heart, he threw me 3 different sets of twins. And that was just, that's unheard of, especially in a small herd, So if you got a couple thousand, I guess that's okay. But when you have less than 50, that's really doing something to have 3 sets of twins in a year. But the average weight of a calf out of Maverick is about 52 pounds, and they grow up nice. I just put Giuseppe in our freezer and just sent almost close to 100 pounds of hamburger over to our friends at Hope Ministries. That's our first fruits. But at 18 months old, I put 450 pounds of meat in the freezer. So I thank God for that blessing. And boy, it's nice and marbled and lean and just wonderful looking stuff, Coach. Yeah, just very blessed, very blessed. Oh. But anyway, so Maverick throws a pretty calf, as we call it, and he's got great EPDs and things, which means when you compare the calves that he sires to the average for the breed, which is Red Angus, as you might tell there, he's actually way above the learning curve, if you will, and he has some great offspring and things, and we appreciate him. But he could be a handful sometimes. At about 2,200 pounds, what you see there is probably closer to 1,900. That's over a year old now. But at 2,200 pounds, Maverick can pretty much go where he decides to go. But you'll never meet a more gentle bull. And it really is the way that he's raised and cared for as a calf. And here at the farm, believe it or not, I'll set down on the feeder after I feed. I'll sit on the side of the feeder, and he'll come up and he'll come behind me and just put his head on my shoulder and just kind of talk to me. And we just visit for a little bit. And I can just rub all over him and things. He eats horse treats out of my hands, so I'll feed him, hand feed him sometimes. But just a wonderful, gentle fella. but he's still a bull. And you have to remember, if he tosses his head around to uh, chase a fly off of him or something, no horn fly by him, he'll throw his head around, and if he hits you with that thing, he's going to knock you 10, 12 feet outside. So you always want to be careful with them. They're not pets; they're animals, and we can treat them with dignity and respect and love. But you also treat them with caution, Coach. That's an important thing to remember if you ever get out around a farm. That they may not ever intend to hurt you, but they sure can.
Well, JD,
Anyway,
obviously you've bonded with your bulls, but they're not pets.
no,
But
that's right.
you don't have to do that, JD. And I think it's indicative of the character that you have, because you see yourself not as the owner of the bull, or of the cattle, of the
No,
herd, that is just a product. You see them as something God has gifted you with and taken care of,
yeah,
and the way
yeah,
that you tithe the fruits. you know,
right, yes.
you're all heart, JD. I wish there were
Well,
more people like you.
he's. I always like him to say I'm just the caretakers of God's blessings, Coach. So he's blessed me with these animals and this ranch, and I just try to be the best caretaker I can. And when it's all said and done, when they go back to God, I hope they're in better shape and they were cared for better than when I got them. And
Well,
that's what I try to do.
there was a
But
point in my life. I've always known what you just said at the intellectual level, but there was a point that it became very real to me, and I just said, God, whatever I have, it's yours. It's
yeah,
just yours. I have nothing, and life gets a lot better because I'm able to pray to God and say, God, your truck, it's broke.
yeah, your truck's broke, Lord. I hear you. I said that prayer a time or two. Yes, sir. But so yes, he's just a big old baby, as some might expect out of old Maverick. But when I separate him from his harem, when I pull him from the herd, and I do that for two reasons, Coach. One, and this sounds silly perhaps to some, but the shape of my cows, their BCS, or body condition score, is such that I've seen them get pregnant 30 to 45 days after giving birth. So they cycle back pretty quickly. But I don't necessarily want that to happen because yes, I want them to have a calf each year, but they're not baby factories either, right? I
Hmm.
just don't want to turn it into a puppy mill or a calf
Hmm.
mill in this case. But I want to determine when I want those calves born. So this year, and typically I have them late winter, and it's normally not a problem. But this year in February, Coach, we got a really nasty ice storm and
Yeah.
a record cold and
Record.
things. And I said, nope, we gotta move that start date a little right. So rather than having babies in January or February now, I want to have them in March and April. So that meant I had to keep old Maverick away from the girls for an extra month or so. Well, I put him up in a separate pasture with the donkeys or at least one of the donkeys, and with the steers, because
Hmm.
he can't get into too much trouble. Uh-huh. But the problem is he's broken through two gates this year with 5/16 inch length chain, and I've got 5/16 chain double wrapped around a steel post, and he breaks the chain on them. So he got out about a week early this year. So he's back with his girls and he's happy, but he can be a handful. Uh, and when the girls are pregnant, or when they're not cycling, they're not achieving estrus each month, as happens. He gets pretty lonely, perhaps. So what's he do? But he goes and climbs on the hill in the western edge of my property and stands up on the hill and bugles or calls out because girl cows in other pastures all around me. So I've got some across the road and some directly to his west, And he gets out there and he just calls and says, "Come on, baby, I'm here. Come talk to me, right?" And he's trying to call the girls in and things. And of course, they've got bulls too. So sometimes the two bulls will clash, and that's when we build better fences. But got pretty good neighbors, and we let each other know where our bulls are, so we can avoid those things. But sometimes, and we're the same way. We just get something in our mind, and we're focused. This is what we want. This is all that matters, and that's what we're going to do. Well, one day, old Maverick is up on that hill, and he's just bugling to beat the band. Now, started at sunrise, and you can hear him like a mile away. I swear you can. So I drive out, and would you get off the hill, you dingaling? Go back to your herd. They're back there at the feedlot eating breakfast, right? He's not going to have any of it. He just groans at me and puts his head down. Nope, I ain't moving, Papa. This is, I need to talk to these girls. So I get out my butt bat. Now, Coach, you asked me what a butt bat was off the line. So I brought my butt bat with me. And that's it. If you can picture a boat oar made of fiberglass and plastic, but the neat thing about it is it rattles.
Do they
you hear the
sell?
little
Did you
BBs
make that, or
inside.
do they actually sell them?
Oh, you buy them. I bought it at the co-op, but
I'm
the
gonna Google
rattle
butt bat.
simulates like a rattlesnake, Coach, and it's just a herding tool. Typically, I can just tap them on the right shoulder a little bit, and you lead a bull. Typically, you'll stand just behind their front shoulders, and you can lead them anywhere. I can pretty much stand across the field and call them, and mine will come to me like a puppy dog. But he was not moving. He wasn't having any part of it. So I swat him with the bat a couple of times on his backside, and he goes, and he puts his head down, and I'm 10 acres away from my pond, I guess. So I tell him, "Go get a cold shower, you horny bucker," and he just groans at me, but he comes off that hill, walks across the pasture, stands in the pond for 2 hours, to work off his mad. And you just have to laugh when those things happen because, okay, Lord, you've got a sense of humor. I see that,
Well,
You
he
tell him, go
did,
take a
and
cold shower, and he jumps in the pond,
he did the best he could. Yeah.
Yes, sir. But it really got me thinking, and of course, when he's lonely and he's looking for some female company and things, he'll bugle and he gets quite loud, and when he's away from his girls, his herd, he lets out a different cry, and he'll cry all night long. "Oh, I'm here, girls. I'm looking out for you. Papa's got me in lockdown over here in his pasture, but I'm still here for you." Of course, the donkeys are patrolling and things. Everybody's safe, but he's separated, and that separation anxiety just builds in him and builds in him till he breaks a fence. And it happens. But it got me thinking about how he just pleads and cries for attention, or somebody to be with him, or him to be with his herd and things. And I think, man, what do I sound like to God? Because I know what old Maverick the Bull sounds like to me. Yeah. And it's sometimes it's sweet and endearing. Other times it's just really bothersome. And just shut up, would you please? I need to sleep. But I wonder, how often do I cry out to God with that same longing plea, that same cry for help? And why is it I wait until I'm in dire straits before I start crying out in that way? Why is it I've tried everything I know to do and it just ain't working right? And okay, God, I give up. Please come help me. Come do this. Please, God. I can't do this by myself as much as I like to think I can. And those things happen, and it really kind of got me thinking about that. and it bothered me because, you know, why is it that I only cry out like that to God when I need Him the most? Uh, Now, He knows me, He knows my need before I even ask. And a lot of times He meets those needs. But other times I find myself crying out to God, just a longing plea. God, you called me to be a Christian writer. Why haven't I sold this book yet,
Mhm.
Lord? You know, and sometimes I think the answer is because you're trying to do it your way. You're not following my way. You're not doing what I asked you to do. So as he told the church at Laodicea, go back and do the last thing that I told you to do. And okay, Lord, I do that, and then the blessing, the fountain opens up again, and things start working. But you know, it's all through the Bible. There's been examples of that, right? Job cried out to God. The prophet Elijah cried out to God, right, when Jezebel was after him. David, Moses, there's so many examples, and Christ Himself, right, in the Garden of Gethsemane. Father, take this cup, right, and that was that longing cry. Uh, what was different about that one, Coach, was it wasn't, you know, do this for me, Lord. It was, let your will be done, Father. You know, and that surrender and that acceptance. And I can only speak for myself here, but I don't always approach the throne of God with that complete surrender. Let it be your way. Something I said in my blog post, some have picked up on, is too often we pray, give me, not guide me.
I've got it
and
highlighted.
that
That
needs to
one,
change. Yeah.
that one struck me. It struck me
Okay, coach.
because, yeah, because we see God as sovereign, and
Yeah.
He has infinite resources, and we want some of it.
Yep.
And guide me doesn't mean you can't have it.
That's right.
It's God, guide me. If that's what you want from me, guide me to it. Don't just give it to me.
Yeah. No, exactly. Let me, and I want to be careful how I say this, Coach. And I know that I'm not using the right word here, so forgive me, folks, but it's what's on my mind. Is rather than you just give me those blessings, Lord, and I know you will. You have them my whole life. I want to earn them. I want to be worthy of them. Now, I can't earn God's love, uh, and I understand that, but I want to be worthy of the blessings that you bestow upon me. And for me to do that, I've got to be doing what you want my life to be, what you want me to accomplish in this life, Coach.
That I understand your caution, JD, and it's appreciated, but actually it's not theologically errant, because the Old Testament there were many things you had to do to become ritually clean.
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't a matter of earning God's love, but in order to be worthy of receiving it. In other words, God,
Yeah.
we don't bargain with God. Okay, we're in no
Right.
position to bargain with God. If I do this, then
Exactly.
you will do this.
Yeah.
God doesn't serve us. But I
No.
do think that powerful phrase, guide me, is
Yeah.
blessings are pouring out. Maybe they're not. Maybe you're not in the right place. God,
Exactly.
Lord, I know that your abundance is there. Guide me to that, flowing oasis of your love.
Yes.
Maybe you're out of
Yeah.
position. Maybe you
Yeah.
need
The
to.
blessing awaits. You just lead me to it, Lord. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I don't think you're theologically errant in saying, God, make me more worthy.
Yeah.
Prepare me for the blessings that you have in store for me. Guide
Yes.
me to prepare myself to receive the blessings that you have for me. This is very rich, all of it. And I don't know if you're done commenting on your own blog yet, but so go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to make one other point, Coach, and that I hope was made in my blog, and from the comments I've been receiving, I think it has, is God listens to all our prayers, but He doesn't act on all our prayers. And sometimes it's because we're we're praying, we're creating white noise. We're just want, want. You know, Charlie Brown's teacher, and that's, you know, because we're sitting there being the Pharisee standing on the corner saying, "Look at me and how righteous I am and how wonderful my prayers are," and I'm guilty of that on Sunday mornings. Boy, I can belt out a prayer like nobody's business when I'm called upon. But am I praying with my whole heart? Am I praying with my soul? Am I making that spiritual connection to God? Or am I just reciting words that sound good, that are pompous and empty? You know, and God doesn't respond to those kinds of things. He responds to a sincere heart, Coach. And when we approach the throne of God, we should always approach it with reverence and sincerity. But we don't always do that, do we, sir?
You know, JD, over the weeks, months, and in fact years that we have been doing this on your program as well as others, there's been kind of a mantra that has kind of emerged, and it's "but God, but God."
Yeah.
But sometimes we misuse that. You know, but God, we're trying to argue with God. You know, but God. Yeah. Where it really needs to be, but God, you know, sure, has his plan is sovereign. An important image, or a profound image that I got reading your blog, was when you had Maverick in that pasture, isolated.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like it. In fact, he could argue, but Papa, but Papa, I'm a bull. I have a purpose.
That's right. Yeah.
And
he doesn't like it. He doesn't understand it, Coach. And you know, the funny thing is, there's things God leads me to do that I don't understand and I don't like, and I fight to understand it. I don't like it. You know, and eventually, okay, Lord, you know, you win. But sometimes that takes longer. I mean, it took Israel 40 years in the desert to cross the Jordan, right? You know, and it's hard to get us to do what God calls us to do sometimes.
The thought that was going through my mind, you know, is you had Maverick isolated because you have a bigger plan. And you know, your plan on that ranch for those cattle is sovereign, sure. Okay?
Yeah.
And you know, you even understood what his problem was. But you didn't go up to him and whisper in his ear, "Well, Maverick, here's the deal."
Yeah.
Okay.
This is why you can't come see the girls. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm thinking sometimes in our own lives, you know, I say, you know, God, I'm hurting here. You know, I don't, you know, I have situations in my own life I'm wrestling with right now, you know, you're on this assignment, you know, well, God, help me understand. Well, we can't understand. And we think God's being silent, you know, because we don't understand. And it just meant a lot to me. You know, I thought about old Joseph in prison for doing the right thing. Honestly. He did exactly the right thing and wound up in prison for it. Surely he cried out, you know, but God, come on, man. What do you want? Have you ever, sometimes I get so exasperated. I have said, God, what do you want from me? We get that desperate. And it must be the same as old Maverick out there.
Oh,
you know,
sure.
What is it? What is going on?
Yeah. What did I do wrong, Papa? And you didn't do anything wrong. This is not the right time. Yeah.
It gave me great peace to read your blog and understand that, you know, God, you know, doesn't, even if he tried to explain, we probably wouldn't understand it. And if he you know, it's a lot easier. Mic tap. It's a lot easier to have faith in God's plan than in God. If he told you the plan, then it wouldn't require any faith, now would it? What if God would have said, well, Joseph, let me tell you the deal here. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Well, then Joseph would not have had to rely on faith. And so often we yearn, we're hurting. Say, God, please, but God, please. And we plead with God. And we're just in our weakness and in our humanity. But we need to rise above that and see it as the longing plea from Maverick the bull. We can learn so much from animals.
Yeah, the wonderful thing, Coach, and you made a very good point there. But the wonderful thing is when we express our longing plea to God, and He can't tell us His plan, we wouldn't understand it if He did. In many cases, because there's so many moving parts across the entire universe, how could we, right? Our finite minds can't understand that. But still, when we sincerely, earnestly reach out to God, don't you just feel Him reach down and rub your poll, rub the top of your head and say, it's going to be okay, child, I've got you. And He comforts us in our longing, in our crying out to Him. He comforts us. He comes alongside us. And I try and do the same thing for old Maverick. I'll go give him a cube or a horse treat or 20, the way he eats. But, just sit there and scratch his poll or scratch his chin. He'll jut his head through the fence or through the gate and just want some loving and some attention. And then he's okay for a few hours. He'll go off and graze or go take a nap and do Maverick things. But, when he's in the mood, Coach, he's in the mood. And when he's got that on his mind, that's all that he can think of. That's all that he can do. And you just try to comfort him as best you can and say, I know you don't understand, pal, but, we're doing this because it's the right thing to do for the herd and the timing and all those wonderful things. But he doesn't understand that. He's just a bull, Coach, as you said.
I'm reminded of a scene from a movie that my daughter and I have watched probably hundreds of times called Remember the Titans.
Oh, the interracial football team
right.
in Virginia,
Okay, now there's a scene in that toward the end of the movie when the new quarterback comes in and he's in the huddle and he calls this ridiculous. He calls this ridiculous play. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the whole team is like, huh? And he looks up and says, trust me on this. I got this. Yeah. And when you have that kind of a team that they had, a championship team, they did trust him on that. And isn't that just a little glimpse into our relationship with God?
Should be.
When God calls a play in our life and gives us an assignment that doesn't make sense, can't we just look up in God and just imagine Him saying, just trust me on this, Coach. Trust me on this. And if we have that kind of relationship, if we have a winning relationship with God, we will trust Him on that.
Yes, of course. My prayer is, don't let me mess up my assignment, Lord. I want to do what you want, but don't let me miss my block or whatever.
And I like the word assignment because it's temporary. If you're at a point in your life that, I'm struggling with some things, and I literally refer to this, this duty as an assignment. It's temporary. It's not forever. It's temporary. And we look at it that way. So, JD, your blog has blessed me beyond measure. And I just,
thank you, Coach.
And that's not unusual, by the way, but I just wanted to say it because so often I feel like Maverick the bull, and and it has really given me some peace about trusting God in all things. And we appreciate you sharing and appreciate you coming on board week after week. And good to know that things are on the right track with you.
Oh, I tell you, Miss Diane's getting right back to her feisty self. She's making me toe the line here, Coach. So it's just wonderful to see that. We go get what they call them, staples removed, I think, next Tuesday, Coach. So we're excited about that.
All right.
And it's great to see my girl coming back to form.
Well,
All right.
we
Thank you, everyone.
love you, brother. Appreciate it so
Thank
much.
you.
Folks, can't get much better than that. JD Wininger here at pjnet.tv. You're looking at the aerial view, one of many, from one of the many cameras orbiting the Eagle's Nest, the broadcast facilities here at pjnet.tv. And, well, that kind of wraps it up for me this week, but it does not in any way wrap it up for PJNet, because we are on Monday through Friday, and on Friday night it's special because Steve Hazards takes the helm, the controls of the PJNet powerhouse, the power mill, and we start about 9 Eastern. He'll play some old retro stuff, good stuff. You know, we kind of let our hair down a little bit. But at 10 o'clock, he uncorks my perspective and comment. Now, folks, when he first started this, I'm like, yeah. But he has got this down to an art form. And, man, come 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, people start mustering up, coming in. And they're riveted. It is very riveting. It is very deep. It is very, and he brings it home, as JD would say, and it gives us that spiritual insight, that Christian godly insight, to decode some of the chaos that seems to overwhelm us in the news cycle. So I hope you'll join us for that. I appreciate each one of you that join us in the pjnet.tv chat room especially. You are an encouragement to me. I always enjoy when we sign off, I go read the chat, and this means a lot to me, and I appreciate it. So let me wind it up and ask you, before we get together next time, to ask yourself 2 questions, as I ask myself these questions frequently. What is the boldest thing that you have ever done for Jesus Christ? And how long ago was that? I hope that none of us will be satisfied with either answer.